All right, we are going live.
Welcome to Live Travel Chat.
Welcome to Live Travel Chat. Good to have you guys here. So today it is Sunday, April 3rd, and I thought it would be nice to share with you guys some different thoughts about travel fears. Now, if you think about it, the media basically promotes the fears. The people, if they want to talk about shocking things and things that are scary. Those things seem to get the lift, they get the boost, they get all the attention in today's media. And there's not much out there to kind of balance those fears. And so when I wanted to come to the Philippines back in 2016, I was, well, actually before that, 2015, I was reading all the posts, watching all the videos, probably for, well, even maybe a year before that, 2014. And I was trying to get an idea of what to expect for when the time that I did come to the Philippines. And so, like many of you, we go to the internet, we watch the videos, we try to decide what is safe, what is unsafe, what to worry about, what to be afraid of. And that's what I did. And what I found out later is there was so much negative stacked against my little bit of positive that I was kind of driven in this fear mode to be afraid of everything. So when I finally did get to the Philippines, I'm like, wait a second here. This was not a good experience in the beginning because my fears overpowered the things that were maybe could have been a positive that I wasn't aware of. So to give you an example, I started out my journey. Hello, hello, good to see you guys. So when I came to the Philippines, I started my journey in Cebu City. And I'd read so many things that were negative about coming to the Philippines, that if you go into an area and you're riding the jeepneys, people are going to steal your wallet. People are going to come and snatch your phone and take it away. And does it happen? Sure, it happens, but not that often. And I was kind of under the assumption that it happened so often that I had to be aware everywhere I went that I could lose these things or be at a major disadvantage. So those fears that I had initially kind of ruined my initial experience from having a positive, good time. I was more in fear of everything than I was actually enjoying my experience in Cebu City. So that's kind of why I bring this up. I want you guys to think about that and to think about the fears and find out if they're overblown fears, if they're valid fears, and if the fear should dominate your experience. And try to find a balance in there. And that's kind of what this is about today. So welcome, you guys. It's good to see you. And we're going to talk about just basic fears of when you're going to travel, whether you're an OFW, whether you're trying to go to a foreign country for the first time, or whether it's something that you do a lot, how to manage those fears, how to find the balance, how to put things into perspective, because we're so driven by the media today promoting people that are putting out shocking content, that are trying to scare you into things that may or not be to the level that they're projecting they are. And that's not fair for somebody that doesn't have the experience to balance that out with. And that's kind of what this is about today. So it's good to see you guys. And I'm sorry I haven't done a couple of these chats in a while. I kind of needed it to be uh, back in my place and to a point where I'm kind of relaxed, because that last trip just wore me out, you guys. I was completely exhausted. And so this is a good venue for that. I'm in my office here. I've got the lighting set up. Everything's a good thing. So I can give you guys a little bit better experience. All right. So I kind of talked about my Cebu experience. So let's see. Another thing that kind of put me a little bit on the defensive when I came here, people are really friendly. And if people are friendly in your country, usually that's something to be like, why are they so friendly? These people are kind of too nice to me. So it puts you on the defensive, right? Now, when I come here, people are like just asking me that I never met, where are you going? And I think, why do you want to know where I want to go? Is that important to you? I've never met you, and here people are just kind of curious, but I didn't pick up on that in the beginning. So I didn't know what to tell them. And oftentimes I'm going over there, and it came to the point where I'd finally told them, you know where I'm going? I'm going crazy. And then they didn't know how to answer that. So it kind of diffused that whole thing out. And then if I felt that they were just kind of being silly or playful, then I'd tell them, yeah, I'm going over here to the store. I'm going to check this place out. Or, I'd kind of use that as an opener to keep the conversation going. So it kind of works out. You have to understand the people with experience to really get an idea of whether they're really wanting to know where you're going in a positive light, or they have something, not positive for you as an outcome. So that's usually only gained by experience. And when I read these posts of how to be afraid of everything and everybody, I was kind of on my guard, and it ruined a lot of my original experiences that I could have had that would have been more positive. So, all right. So let's see. What else did I write down here? I kind of wrote down a bunch of stuff to kind of go over. Um, let's see. So when I rode my motorcycle to Mindanao, if you ask people like on this island, on Negros Island or Cebu, a lot of people are afraid to go to Mindanao. Now, one of the things that I found was that the people that I encountered were as sweet in Mindanao as they were on any other island that I've been to. It seems like people are people. Now, are there bad elements on any part of any island? Sure. And if you were to go to, let's pick a state. If you went to Chicago, you could go around, or Illinois. You went around Illinois and you get to Chicago, you're going to find areas that you got no business being in. If you aren't in that neighborhood or they recognize you, you got no business being there. And it's no different in some areas here. But what I found is it's not nearly as territorial and tribal here as it is back home. Back home, a lot of places, even during the daytime, I wouldn't be caught going. But a lot of places I would go here during the daytime that maybe I'd consider going at night. So, you really have to spend time trying to understand with your boots on the ground where to place those fears and if they're valid or not. So, something to think about. All right, so we got Elvie here. So it's good to see you. Always good to see you. Good morning from CD Oreo Cookies is what I call it. CD Kagan de Oreo. Oro. So it's a Spanish name, and I'm not sure what that means, but I kind of joke with her and I call it Oreo Cookies. Kagan de Oreo. So it's good to see you as always. And Chuck, good to have you, Chuck. Nice to see you here also. And Roy, Vern, you have a captive audience today. I haven't live streamed for a while, so my audience is going to be a little bit minimal. And I haven't given out a lot of early warning that I'm doing these live streams. So I'm kind of just starting to slowly pick it up again and see how my time frame works for doing live streams again. So it's kind of trying to pick it up. So Gio's back in Dumageddon, yeah, and I will meet with Gio tomorrow. I don't know if we will do videos with each other or not, but I will meet him for breakfast tomorrow. So yeah, he's back here for I'm not sure how long. If he's here for a short stay or what he's got planned. I guess I'll find out tomorrow. So yeah, it's all good. All right. So when I was out on my motorcycle, and I didn't tell you guys, is that one of the things that people don't really mention is your body needs to get accustomed to the microbes, to the germs, to maybe some ice or the water when you travel. And here I get wrecked out, just wrecked out. Every time I come back to the Philippines, man, I have diarrhea like nobody's business. And I hate to say it any way cleaner than that, but yeah, it gets me. Now, when I went to Cagayan de Oro to do my big bike trip, I had that going on and it was bothering me. And my energy levels were like this. And then they just shoot down to the ground because when you're eating and nothing is retained in your body, you're not getting the nutrients and you're not absorbing any of that stuff. So I was having a heck of a time. And that's why I didn't spend more time vlogging all the different areas. I'm like, man, I'm exhausted and I need to get my bike back. And I promised myself I would make that trip to go down and see Kulas. And then the other thing is I had to get the bike back and I wasn't going to spend a lot of time vlogging. Now, the other thing I'm surprised more people didn't notice, I did not eat at a lot of very healthy places. And there's kind of a little bit of reasoning to that. And part of that is if I'm already feeling kind of funky the last thing I want to do is try to eat at an experimental place that's like a side of the road eatery, because I don't know how clean anything is. But if I eat at a place that kind of has more of a standard, like a fast food place, at least the standards are a little bit more predictable. And that's kind of my thinking when I ate at those places. And also, I just wanted to get back. Just get me something to eat and just get the heck out of there. I was just ready to get back, you guys. So when you're traveling, you may be susceptible to what's going on. And I want to tell you that I think it has more to do with the water than anything. And I had two plastic bottles in my apartment that were here for a year and a half, that had one had water in it and the other didn't. Now, how well they cleaned out those jugs before they put new water in the filling station, I don't know. So what I've started to do now that I'm back is I'll microwave my water for like 30 seconds, try to heat it up and see if it is an issue with my water, and try to isolate it that way. So when I came to Dumaguete and I was living in Cebulan a short time afterwards, I was getting bad water from the filling station and I didn't know it. And it took me like 3 months to figure it out. And how do you isolate that? Because you think, well, gosh, I'm touching things. Am I washing my hands enough? What's going on here? And it came down to having some bad water. So be really careful. And if you suspect that you're having digestive issues, try change your filling station and see if that makes a difference. So that's kind of where I'm at with this, you guys. All right, so let's see. Let me try to pull up a few more things. Um, so one of the things somebody asked, and I was kind of surprised, but I guess you would have to kind of take it into the context of what they might be needing themselves. So somebody asked me if, when I travel to these faraway locations, if I look to see if there's a hospital to where I'm going. And honestly, I don't. But maybe if you struggle with some issues, or maybe you're diabetic, or maybe you have to do um, something where they need to check on you often, then yeah, that's very valid. But I just kind of rock and roll. I just go for it. If I had some issues where I needed to be near a hospital, that would really impact my traveling, and I probably would be a lot more careful traveling. So um, yeah, I don't normally do that, but I'm not against that. And there are a lot of hospitals here, but the care might vary from place to place. So, you know, I kind of think about it this way too. If you look at a given landmass area, maybe there's a hospital here and there's a hospital here, and you got to think all these people in between, they got to get to the hospital the hard way, but yet they still got to survive their life. And in some ways, maybe they live kind of like old school, old times. They just figure if they get there in time, they get there in time. If not, then that's the way it is. People often say, if I could go back in time and live a certain way, right? Now, if you could go back in time, which you can to some degree in a lot of these third world countries, then you also have to accept the medical, the different things that aren't as easily accessible or available that they have, and then just kind of put it in God's hands. Well, if X happens, then X happens. But what I found is that usually the quality of community is so much better that for me, I'm willing to risk having maybe an issue of maybe the hospitals not being so close, or having issues, not getting the proper care to have the connections in the community. So for me, it's worth that. You may choose to have the best hospitals and not much of a community, but that's what you value, and I can understand that everybody's different. All right, so welcome, Christopher. How is the apartment when you open that door? Did you have any company? So I eat ants. Now, surprisingly, and I'll do a video coming up here, the ants did a mutiny and they basically died on my bedroom floor. So there wasn't one living ant in the whole entire apartment. I did put out ant traps and I sprayed around the perimeter. And there are ants outside going through the top of the house and around it, but everything stayed outside. So I'm thinking of maybe putting some borax and some other stuff outside in just some small areas and see if they take that back to the nest. But I'm probably not going to just start spraying on them like I did before, because it kind of drove them into the house more. So yeah, it was a mess. And I was kind of surprised to see that they were dead. So that was kind of nice. All right. So Elvie says people here in Mindanao are friendly, and for those who are afraid of coming here in our island because it's not safe, well, everywhere is not safe. Everywhere always has crimes. Mindanao is beautiful. Well said, and that's so very true. And the thing that I kind of think of is there's been a long history of conflict, down in the south part of the Philippines, and it's just been going on for hundreds of years. And people are kind of tribal, and they stick together. And even if they've never been there, they might repeat that rumor because it sounds scary to them. But you're right. I met some of the sweetest people in areas I never been. I'm riding all these backwood areas going, okay, is this safe? And then I look around, it seems safe. People never gave me that look like, what are you doing here, Joe? I didn't get that anywhere where I went. Now, if I had, I would have backed up and went the other way. Now, there was one area out of the whole trip, out of, I think it was like 1,200 kilometers that I rode, and it was equivalent to, I think, 800 miles. Now, when I went down to visit Kulas, and it's kind of funny because it's right by his place, he has a road that goes by his place, and it kind of goes from concrete to dirt, and then the dirt just goes straight down a trail, and it kind of winds around. And what's really strange is that the bushes almost cover the entire arc of the road, and the trees and bushes. And so you're going through like this tunnel of bushes, and I enter this tunnel, and I look to the left, and there's like 5 or 6 guys working on the ground, and they kind of look at me kind of funny. Okay, and so I'm going through this area, and I can't see where it ends. I don't know where it comes out, and I keep going down it, and I think, do I need to be down here? What am I doing down here? Is there anything for me to see? Is it a good experience? Is it a bad experience? And these guys at the end, they could basically come out across the road and block my exit. And I thought, I don't feel real comfortable going down here. So I turned around and I headed out of there. But that was the only time in the whole trip, you guys. And the area, I don't think was an unsafe area, but it just didn't feel comfortable how it was set up for me kind of gauging through there. Now, had I gone through there with a local, I would have felt totally comfortable. But by myself, no. And, you're right. Everywhere there's crime, everywhere there's problems. There's no place that's completely safe. Now, I wanted to bring this up because this is kind of a mind blower. Now, when I came to Dumaguete, I would take my helmet off when I got through riding, and I just set it on like the mirror or the handlebar when I'm leaving the bike. Every single person said, don't leave your helmet there. Don't leave your helmet there. It's going to be gone. Now, I got kind of lazy. I got tired of carrying my helmet, so I just left it on there. And I'll tell you what, I left that helmet on that bike for 5 years, and I left it everywhere in the city, out of the city, next to the port. I left it overnight in many places, and nobody ever touched that helmet. Now, this was before there was a mandatory helmet thing, so maybe not many people wanted to wear a helmet, but somebody could have taken that helmet and sold it for a few pesos, but nobody ever took that helmet. But the perception was if I left it there that it would be gone. Now, I'm sure there are areas where it would be gone, and maybe I deserve to have it taken. But the consensus is there weren't that many people that wanted that dang helmet. That was the reality, even though the fear was different. And that's kind of what I like to tell people. If it sounds scary, is it really that scary, or is it just a perception? So, all things to think about, you guys. And Mindanao is amazingly beautiful. It's probably one of the most beautiful islands, you guys. And if you get a chance, try to poke into that area, and especially Bukidnon. Wow. Wow, that is just a lush paradise. Well worth exploring, you guys. All right, so fellow traveler, hey, Vern, so happy you're going live. It's so great to be here, you guys, and I really enjoy connecting with you. So thank you so much for that. So, Chuck, I agree. Albie, there are places here in the USA I would never travel to. You know, I started thinking about growing up, and even in my own area of South Minneapolis, there were places that people look at you like, you don't belong here. What are you doing here? And especially at night, if you were there, you were going to have a lot of problems. And I don't feel that anywhere that I've traveled. Is it possible here? Sure. I don't spend a lot of time in the city. I don't go out at night all that much. I don't party. I don't drink. But if I were to frequent some of those areas, could I find problems? Sure. But you can find that anywhere. So yeah, you know, how you act and how you carry yourself, at certain times is almost what you'll attract or what you'll avoid. All right, so home economic vlogs. Born and raised in Valencia, we boiled tap water and chilled our drinking water. Very nice. So welcome to have you. Now, one of the things that I noticed is that old fountain in Valencia used to be a drinking water fountain, and I wonder why that isn't working. It would be cool to see if they could get that going and people could actually fill up their water there. That would be really plus. But with the earthquakes and stuff, I don't know if that's still going. But you boiled your tap water, so that's interesting. Now, the tap water that comes out here, I believe, is directly from the stream, and it looks like a clean stream. And I kind of wonder what the people did in old times from that water source. All right, so Howie, good to see you, Howie. Situational awareness and common sense will go a long way, no matter where you're at. I totally agree. And a lot of that's earned the hard way, right? Learning how to read people. Now, one of the things that I noticed when I was looking to make a thumbnail for my video to meet Kulas is he gave a really important tip, and I wanted to share that with you guys. Now, when he rides out into what's called the barangay, which is basically outside the city, what he does is he'll see somebody and he'll say hello and he'll tell them, "Oh, I'm heading over here. I'm heading over there," and he'll gauge their body language, their facial expressions, and see how they react. If they kind of give him like a shocked look, then he has reason to think, well, maybe that's not safe. And if they just say, "Oh yeah, cool, have a good time," then he knows it's probably okay. And so that's kind of part of boots on the ground, networking through the community to see if you're accepted or not, right? So something to think about. And you could apply that anywhere in the world, you guys, anywhere in the world. As long as they speak enough English that you can kind of converse with, then that's perfect. All right. So DB Coop, thank you so much. And remember of Taylor Hawkins. Yeah, you know, oofda. A lot could be said there, my friend. So thank you so much for that. And I'll remember that also. All right. So let's see. I've got some more notes I want to talk about here, you guys. Um, oh, the other thing, one of the fears that is very real and valid is the stray dogs. There's so many stray dogs, you guys. And the worst of it is you could have a stray dog that has rabies and not have any idea or know it. And I don't know what the protocol here is if you got bitten by a dog, if you have to get the shots, if the shots are available, or if you have to go to another town. But the dogs are terrible. Now, the dogs are not nearly as worse here as they were in Thailand. There were probably 3 times the amount of dogs in Thailand that there are here. There are places you can't even go out at night because the dogs are so thick. It was really kind of a questionable thing. And if it wasn't the dogs, it was the mosquitoes. So, something to think about if you want to go to Thailand, you could have a very real issue getting malaria. Or what's the other one? Not malaria, there's another one. I can't think of it. But there's a lot of mosquito borne illnesses that you could get, you guys. All right, so let's see. Let's get back to a few of your questions while you guys are here. All right, Rudy. Rudy, good to see you, Rudy. So Albuquerque checking in. Welcome. Wish you would have taken more time to visit, share areas, travel through. So I kind of talked about a little bit about that. Now, so I wasn't feeling up to par when I came back to the Philippines, and I've been struggling. I don't know how to say this in a nice way, but I've been struggling with diarrhea, you guys. And I get it from the water, I get it from touching all these things, and my body just gets racked out. Now, when I went over to Cagayan de Oro, I started hitting these energy levels where I'd wake up in the morning a lot of times, and I felt like I needed to go back to bed, but I had to get up. And then I'd go a little bit, and then I just crash. I would just feel like I don't have any energy. I need a nap. And when I rode down to Catil, I was freaking exhausted, you guys. And some of those corners were like this. They were so windy up and down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to get there. And once I got there, I'm like, holy smokes, this is a long ride back. I just want to get my bike back. And so the last thing I wanted to do, honestly, is spend more time on the road, because I needed to rest. I needed a really good rest, and I needed to get the bike back. And also, the thing that I didn't mention is my visa is set to expire on the 10th, and today's the 3rd, so I need to go to immigration, and my passport is here, so I have to go back and renew. So I kind of had these things weighing, and it's like I'm running out of time, you guys. I wanted to spend time with Elvie. I wanted to be there, and spend time with her and try to attempt to visit Kulas. And so it was just kind of like all weighing things out. It wasn't my normal vlog style. Normally, I like to kind of look around a bit more, but I look at it like this too. If I try to cover everything in one deal, it's not going to happen. There's no way. I used to metal detect coins, and in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I have to metal detect the whole park today in one day. Otherwise, somebody else is going to come by and get all the coins that I could be missing. So, as a metal detectorist, I try to do these big sweeps and try to cover the whole entire ground. But what I found is if you just work small areas and take your time, you're going to find more coins than if you're trying to do the whole thing in a hurry. So I kind of look at it vlogging the same way. I'm never going to cover everything at one time. So if I come back and I can focus on an area, I'm going to make a better vlog, enjoy it more, and give you guys more content in the end. So it kind of balances it out. All right. So, hey, Tess. Hey, Vern Travels. But that's a question you keep asking. Are you an LV, a romantic couple? Or let's see. Are you an LV Bergstrom, an item, nice romantic couple greetings? So thank you for that. Now, the thing is uh, in the Philippines, the proper way to date is to court, like a slow moving river of love, to take your time through there. So I'm not dating anyone else, and I don't believe she's dating anyone else at the time. So we're just going slow, just like a slow moving river of love. So there you go. That's about the best way I can answer that without being too specific, because there's a little bit of privacy between her stuff and my stuff. But yeah, yeah. So far, we both are enjoying each other's company, and if it happens, it happens. But I'm not pressuring it, and I'm just letting it lead in its own time. So yeah, uh, we have a really wonderful time together, and I look forward to spending more time with her. And I think she feels the same. So yeah, thank you for that. So the Eaton Squad. Hey Vern, first time in your show. Nice to see you, my friend. Love your travel vlogs. Well, thank you very much. And you know, I remember back to when I had 100 subscribers, and I thought, man, is this ever going to go anywhere? And it took forever. And then thanks to Old Dog New Tricks, I did a vlog with him, and I was able to boost it up to 300, and then I had 1,000 subs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe this channel can go somewhere. And now we're just over 4,500 subs, and I'm thinking, man, let's crack that 5,000 mark. So it's happening. It's really happening, and I'm so excited to have you guys be here through this journey, because the bigger this channel gets, the more community we have, and the more options we have to even do more stuff. So really excited for that. All right, so welcome, Annie. When you have diarrhea, you need to eat more solid food. Finn Snow is like you until I told him to eat more solid food. Now he just about now he eats just about everything he sees and doesn't have a problem anymore. Well, that's interesting. So, what do you recommend for solid food? Because I try to eat like an apple, but maybe that's not solid enough. So, what do you recommend? I'm curious. Because, man, I'm telling you, I just get nailed. Oh my gosh. I've had a rough time, and it messes with your energy levels really bad. I should have been clean in here the last 3 days, and I'm just like, no, I'm not doing much. Not doing much. I visited with a couple of friends and with a couple of fans from the channel, but man, I didn't do much the last 3 days. I just tried to sleep. It's rough. It's really rough, you guys. So think about that when you come to these places. Be prepared, because it can really wipe you out in a quick hurry. All right, so Chuck, it doesn't matter how clear a stream looks. There's animal taking a dump in the stream somewhere. That's a very good point. That is a really good point. And even if it's rushing water, moving water, people are washing stuff in those rivers. And that's the rivers that these waters are coming through, right? To our tap. So that's a good point. That's a really good, I hadn't really thought too much about that until you just said that. So yeah, I probably wouldn't drink any river water anymore. More than that. Now, what I'm surprised is I don't hear or see enough about many deep water wells here, and I don't know why that is. They ought to be able to go deep enough to get clean, clear water, but I'm not. I'm not aware of why or if that is an option here. It has to be somewhere, right? But how deep, I don't know. All right. Hey, buddy. Beer, Bikes, and Bourbon. Foo Fighters. Hello from PNW, Washington State. What's up, Vern? Hello, my friend. And we have a lot of people that are from Washington on this channel, so it's good to see you. So, we're just talking about travel fears and the things that the media wants to do is promote the fear because people tend to be attracted more to that. And people make money by promoting all the fears and the chaos and the scare and shocking content. And unfortunately, there's no balance there to balance that out. And so when I reflect back at my time coming to the Philippines, I had so much fear pumped into my brain that by the time I came here, I was hypersensitive and scared of everything. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I had my hands in my pockets when I'm riding the jeepney in Cebu because I'm like, the people are like wedged right alongside you. They don't let these uh, buses go until the people are packed and they're like sardines, and then they start the bus. And so I got people packed next to me, and I got my hands in my pockets like, you ain't taking nothing. I was thinking that when I was there, and I was so concerned that I was going to get jacked. And, it's just not that scary. It's just not that way here. It happens, but not to the level that I was fearing. Okay. And so I want you to kind of put things into perspective and have it not ruin your first experience when you come here. So, I hope you can find a bit of a balance to your fears. All right. So, hey, Brian, good to see you. Hey, Vern, play and sing us your favorite song. I have to warm up my voice a little bit, and I haven't done that. And I think maybe I'll do that on one of the vlogs. I'll do that. I'll pull out my guitar and sing for you guys. And I'll probably do it towards the end because some people get kind of, I didn't come here to hear you sing. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And I do have a passion to sing. And believe it or not, sometimes I'll take my generator. I have a 2000-watt inverter generator, and I'll just throw it in the car. I'll throw my amplifier and throw everything in there, and I'll pick a spot. Could be a park, could be a piece of grass, wherever, and I'll just set up all my stuff and I'll just start playing for an hour or two. And every once in a while, I'll have a friend or somebody come join me, and it's a really good time. And the thing I love about the Philippines more than anything is you don't even have to be that good, and people accept you. They're like cheering you on. They're trying to connect to your experience because they really love that. They love that you're singing. They love that they can come and sing along. And one of the reasons I didn't play as much before when I was outside the Philippines is people are so damn critical. If you're not perfect or you didn't nail it, I mean, they're like, oh, I don't know, you just didn't do that song right. And they'll tell you to your face, and they'll walk away disappointed. And I don't get that here, and it's so wonderful. And so I feel inspired to express here. I feel like they create an environment where you can be that and not be shy about that, and it's amazing. So thank you for that, and I will do that in one of the future streams. And someday I may just do a live where I'm just doing some music too. So be aware for that. All right. So eat and squat. I'm going to do a few more comments, then I'm going to get back to the chat here. So when you get bitten by a stray dog here, you have to get shot, and anti-rabies shots are available here in the hospital. Well, that's good to know because there are a lot of dogs here. And occasionally I'll hear about somebody getting bit. So it does happen. I'm trying to think if I've had any close experiences in the Philippines. I've had some dogs get kind of sensitive. I remember I reached out to pet a beach dog that looked like it'd be kind of friendly, and it tried to nip at me. And I thought, okay, that's it. And when the dogs are packing more than one dog together, you have to be real careful. So, it just depends. I think during COVID times, the animals were more sensitive because they weren't getting fed as much. There weren't as many tourists out throwing them scraps, and everything was maybe pressured more. So the animals were more sensitive, more aggressive. But I'm not seeing that as much here. Now, one of the things I wanted to bring up that I just am really starting to notice is the Philippines didn't seem to go downhill as much as some of the other countries that I visited. I didn't see as many closures. I see a lot of building here. People were building during the pandemic. I see more houses built here than anywhere else. And I'm really kind of shocked. And for some reason, they were able to kind of pull through things and keep it going. So I'm pretty impressed, you guys. Pretty impressed with how things kind of kept going through here. So, hey, Juan Carlos, good to see you, my friend. What's up, Vern? Heading to Bangkok, Thailand. Good for you in mid July for 2 weeks. So I'm counting down already. Now, it ought to be easy to get in by then. Everything's really kind of been opening up. So that's a good time, my friend. And I hope you really enjoy that. That'll be a good experience. Bangkok was amazing. Just prepare to have to travel for such long distances because it's a massive city. But they have a wonderful, wonderful travel structure with the trains and trams and stuff. So it worked out well. But it was a good experience. I'm not sure if you've been there before, but it was worth it. It was worth it to experience. And beautiful at night, beautiful for photos. I loved the vibe at night. It was incredible. Our Philippines Lives, welcome. Hey, Vern, good morning. Good morning to you. Good to see you. All right. So, LV, one more here. So, LV says, Vern, solid food like rice and dried fish. Yeah, I'm sure you'd included balut on there too, right? Balut's got to be the most solid thing we can think of today, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't get to eat the dried fish and the balut, and I was trying to make a video with her doing that, and we didn't get to that. But next time we will. So I had it. I don't think my stomach could have done it this time, you guys. I really was battling with issues. So, oh boy. All right. So let me try to get back to some of the notes that I wrote here. Um, let's see. So, one of the things that people sometimes comment about is getting money from an ATM machine here now, and to be worried about that. And I haven't noticed that many really scary ATM issues or people that have had issues at the ATM. Just go at the mall, go during the day, or if you're worried and you don't want to have to do the ATM issues, just send yourself money, like maybe one lump sum a month through Zoom or through some of the other partners that like was Remitly and some of the other places that you can transfer from bank account to bank account and then do a cash pickup. And that will kind of eliminate all those needs. And, I tend to like to do Zoom. That way I don't have to do the credit card thing in the ATM machine and worry about losing my card or the magnetic strip not working. And it just seems to work out best for me. I have enough issues trying to buy stuff online, and then the credit card company will flag it, or maybe it didn't go through the first time and I submit it again and they're like, oh, we got an issue. So then I got to call them up, and I don't like using my card at all, you guys. So all things to think about. But, the fears of getting your money from an ATM and getting, robbed, or it's just not as great as, at least not here. If you're in the big city, then maybe, yeah, but pick your location, pick the area and just have a little street smarts. If you wouldn't feel safe doing it at home, then, use those same street smarts here. So that's my best advice. All right. So now, ironically enough, I started thinking today and I thought, what was my scariest moment in the Philippines? And the only thing I could think of is when I'm sitting in this office and there was like an earthquake jolt. And this happened, I want to say maybe 5 to 7 times, man. And I'd get up and start running for that door. And I'm pretty close to the door. I'm like a minute away from the door. And it's just like, these really violent jolts. And that was probably the only thing that really freaked me out here. Everything else hasn't been that scary. It hasn't. People have been pretty good. People have really been pretty good here. All right, so I'm going to get into some of your guys' comments. So I try to go this for about an hour, you guys. And that's kind of where I try to limit it up, because not everybody has a lot of time to watch for much longer. So, all right, Santiago de la Cruz, good morning, sir. Watch your blog at Catil. So thank you so very much. I really appreciate that. And that was a really, really good experience to run down there and to see that and go through some of those amazing backcountry roads, you guys. It was so beautiful in there. The layered mountains. And I wish I felt a little bit better and I could have vlogged more, but man, it was just a real bucket life experience to go there and just to do that, to see that part of the coast. That was amazing. And it's something that I hadn't done in all these years that I've been here. So I'm really glad I did. So Suricase, welcome home. Thank you. It is really good to be in my office chair. I have an office chair and everything's at a certain level. When you're traveling, you get all these funky places to sit and the desk is here and your arms are here. And It's nice to have a predictable workspace. That is a real blessing. And I'm really happy to have my bed. I love my bed. Got a really good Mandawi foam. If you're ever in the Philippines and you need a good bed, Mandawi foam has a wonderful foam mattress, you guys. It's a little bit more expensive, but man, worth every single peso. It's worth every single peso. All right. So our Philippines life, Imodium AD. That, what did I have? I had something. I think it was Imodium. And you're right. The last time I took it, it saved me. It totally saved me. Now, I was told something else recently, and it wasn't Imodium, but it was like the second thing to take if they didn't have Imodium. And they say you're supposed to take two pills, and I took one, and it just didn't kick it as much as the Imodium is. So that's what I'm going to look for probably today. I'm going to try to find some of that and stock it up. You're right. That is some good stuff. I've traveled 30 plus countries. You have piggeries, cows, dogs, and people and sewage in that water. Yeah. The thing with these humid countries, everything's a petri dish and nothing gets sterilized. Nothing gets really that clean. The only thing that I've experienced that is super clean in the Philippines is the shopping malls. Why? I don't know. Some of the shopping malls are cleaner than some of the clinics and some of the hospitals, you guys. Like that mall I went to in Butuan. That thing was spotless. I couldn't believe how clean it was. I'm looking around going, wow, this place is amazing. And I wish the hospitals were that clean, you guys. Then I'd have a little bit more faith in things. But it's hard to keep places that clean here because there is, even in the air, there's so much dirt that, like my fan is black. Looking at it now, the blades are black, and I think it's maybe from like a month of just going nonstop. And there's so much pollution in the air. And so you've got the pollution, you've got the humidity, you've got the germs, the microbes. I mean, it's a petri dish here. So you're going to get sick at some point. Just hope you don't get an open infection here because that's really hard to take care of, you guys, because of the moisture and everything else that you're dealing with. All right. So thank you for that. Third case, fear is just a thought. It will pass. Right. I agree with that. All right. White Van Man, good to have you. Biking looks a blast in the Philippines. It is. And one thing that really blew my mind, there are so many good concrete roads here. Out in the back country, you wouldn't expect it. You just really wouldn't expect them to have that many good roads. I mean, it rivals even better in many places in the US where they have gravel, they have concrete. It's just really a surprise. And they keep putting more roads in. I don't know where they get the money for all the roads, but they've got some really good road structure here. So you could do some really great biking, really. And the nice thing I've noticed is they're starting to put tar above the concrete. And what that helps is it kind of smooths it out. It gives you for a little bit better ride. And those roads are really nice for biking, you guys. And some of them are so windy. If you like windy roads, there's no shortage of windy roads here, you guys. All right, so Patrick, hello, Vern, watching from Orange County, California. Welcome. Good to have you here. Always good to know where you guys are from. So thank you for telling me that. All right, DB Coop, you may want to talk to a doctor about stomach parasites. That's another good point. Simple test, very common for people that have there to have some issues. That's another thing that I was thinking about too, to go in and get checked. Now, my one friend Rick said to me last night, he said, what you could do to kill any stomach parasites is put two, I think he said, teaspoons of apple cider vinegar in some water. And he said that should take care of any parasites. So I thought about trying that, a natural remedy first. And if that doesn't work, and if a Imodium doesn't work, then yeah, I did take the one Imodium before, and I'm trying to think of if it was like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and it was instantaneous. That stuff just worked. I don't know what's in it, but I felt great for a while after that. And then traveling around a different hotel, eating at all these just different places, it's just, there's too much going on that my body just said, I don't recognize this. I don't recognize that. We're going to just work your system to the max now. So it gets a little crazy. Hey, Steve, good to have you back. Good to have you. Good morning to you also, my friend. All right, so Patrick, only drink bottled water. And that's the thing. Sometimes I want something that's kind of cold, and oftentimes that comes with the ice, and I get tired and I don't condition myself to think about that. But you're right. If you're traveling a lot, you're supposed to stick to only things that are sealed, no matter what. And that's that's supposed to be gospel. Now sometimes I'll take and brush my teeth from the tap water, and that's not always the smart thing either. So yeah, if you really can stick to things, um, it'll limit and give you an idea of where to look if you are having problems. But you really have to be disciplined. And if you're traveling a lot for an extended period of time, that's hard to do over the long haul unless you have a good pattern set up. If you're just doing 2 weeks somewhere and you can kind of focus, then it's usually easier to do, but it gets harder the longer you're out. All right, so I want to make sure that I cover everything that I had written down here before we get into reading the last comments. Um, so what I wrote is that there's so much more in life in the living here. I kind of accept the risks more than I would back home in certain areas, like maybe in the medical. So it kind of goes back to living back in time a little bit. 100 years ago, they didn't have the access to all the medical things, but yet they had more community. They had more life in their living, and they accepted the risks that they have. If you go to the old cemeteries and you see the graves from like 100 years ago, some of the people didn't live very long. A lot of their children, they were stillborn or they didn't survive childbirth. They didn't have all the access to medical care. They didn't have all the luxuries, all the antibiotics, the things that we have today. But yet they still seem to have a bit of happiness, a joy, and they accepted a lot of things as maybe a fate of, I'm just going to be in the moment and accept what I have. And if I'm blessed to survive this, then that's great. And today, it's almost like we want to pad our life with every possible safety net. And even then, it becomes like a fear driven thing. And I think a lot of times we may be afraid to live because we can't connect the safety net here. We can't connect the safety net there. We don't have insurance for this, for this, for this. And so when you live abroad and you realize that a lot of the people, they don't have any safety nets, and they live and they seem pretty darn happy, you know, and you have to kind of weigh that out and put it into perspective. And it's just stuff that I think about as I live in these communities. And I reflect upon that. And maybe if you were to be here in those moments, your thinking would change. Your safety nets wouldn't be as strung out as far as they are, or maybe they would be worse. Maybe the fears would cause you to even put your safety nets farther out. So it's interesting to think about how we each react in these different scenarios and situations, and what we're comfortable with. And there is no right or wrong way. It's just what you feel you want to get out of it. If your life in a safety net is your way of living, and that's life for you, then okay, I can understand that. But if having less safety net and having more community is of a more value, then consider coming here, because man, I never seen such happier people per ratio, and it ain't perfect. They'll tell you themselves they ain't perfect, but there's so much more joy, and there's a lot less safety net. That's for sure, man. A lot of times they live day to day. You know, give us this day our daily bread, and they go forward from there. So, all right, so I'm going to get into some of your guys' comments. We got 12 minutes to go here, you guys. So Annie, she says Finn Snow was eating sandwiches on his first few trips in the Philippines. He was afraid to eat anything Filipino. Now he's comfortable eating the calendaria like Pulas and Commander Dea. And that's kind of interesting. When your body kind of normalizes and gets used to the microbes and stuff, then yeah, I think you can get away with a lot of that. But your body's really got to adjust. And I noticed, I'll tell you one thing that really blew my mind. When I went back to the USA and I was feeling my stomach kind of all weird, when I was back there for one day, my body felt like perfect. And I was drinking the chlorinated water, and it must have been just what I needed, because I felt normal from that day forward while I was visiting the US. And that was really when I knew that my water was messing me up. But until your body's used to that stuff. There's people that tell me they drink the water out of these streams, and maybe they can handle that. There must be something in there that their body's already adapted to. I don't know how that works, but I don't know, you guys. All right, so I think it's Diatabs. Yeah, I think that was it. Diatab was the other pill that I had taken. I think that sounds right. So thank you for that, home economics vlogs. And Patrick, Pepto Bismol, Vern. I have not seen that here. I think maybe I've seen the tabs, the Pepto Bismol tabs a long time ago, but I haven't noticed that here. But on the other hand, I haven't been looking for it so much. I don't go to the pharmacies much. It's probably here somewhere. All right, so Surrey case, any desire to leave Dumagetti? You know, I'm playing it by ear. Right now, it's good to have something familiar that I remember, that I recognize, everything's set up. I can just have a home base that I can kind of travel from. I'm going to do some car camping here very soon. Once I get my house back dialed in, I have to get my cars up and running, and then I'm going to do some car camping. And so it would be nice to have my home base here, go out for a couple of weeks, come back, do the editing, do whatever I got to do, and know that this is set up. I don't have to change anything. So, if I do leave, it probably won't be for a while, because I enjoy having a home base, something I haven't had for a long time. It's nice having my lights set up the way I want it, and I'd have to set that up in another place. And right now, probably not. All right. All right. So, Ray, Adi Elvi, give Kuya Verna a good chance. He seems like a good guy, and he's right. Courting is traditional, but if the two of you are in different cities, Vern might want to speed things up. All right. So, yeah. But, so here's the thing. She had a husband pass away, and she's still grieving that, and I have to be considerate of that and let her be ready in her own time. Now, it's kind of private to her, and I didn't really bring that up too much, but it's something that I want you guys to be aware of, that everybody is going through different things in their life, and depending on when they're ready for something new, that has to be something that happens gradually, and maybe that feels right for them. So, that's my biggest thing, to be respectful to her and her time and what she wants. And I think that is supporting to her. And to me, I think that is the most important thing, because if she's ready, she'll let me know. She knows I'm interested, and we really have a great time together. So I just want it to be respectful. That means the most to me. And I haven't been dating in 2 years, and I kind of waited to see her because I knew how much we would get along, and I knew that it was worth waiting for. So, but it has to be a two-way street. So we'll just kind of play it by ear. So thank you for that. So Paul, Erica Flora would be good. I'm not sure what that is. Is that something for digestion, or is that something else? I'm not really sure. Uh, LV, that maybe he can wait for 2 more years. Yeah, psh, you got me there. That got me there. So that's what I love about Elvie. She's got a good sense of humor, and that keeps me on my toes. And it's usually something that makes me bust out laughing. So there you go. She's got that going for her, man, and that's what I love about her. So yeah, 2 more years, baby. 2 more years. 2 more tears. 2 more tears. All right, Chuck, I looked in the medical journal with your symptoms, and it's called missing LV syndrome. Oh, it is. Oh, that's what it is. And yeah, it's always something. It's always some new thing that I need to learn about and study up on. So thank you for that. All right, so I've got just a couple more things that I wrote, and I'll plug those before we go. Um, so, I think I pretty much summed everything up, you guys. So basically, before we go to new areas, before we want to experience, maybe as an OFW, maybe as a foreigner to a new land, we want to go to a new place. The media is pumping all this negative stuff out there, and maybe you're going for 2 weeks somewhere, maybe you're going somewhere to live. And the worst of it is there's no way to find any balance to that. You're basically going to have the deck stacked against you for negativism. you're basically going to go there thinking a lot of negative stuff and fears and worry, and you're just going to have to work through that and build your balance. And that's what I had to do. And when I came to Cebu for the first time, I was really going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Not only was I in shock just from the first world to the third world and all the differences. But then I had those fears coming in, and I'm like, how do I navigate this? How do I deal with it? And it really kind of ruined my first 9 days because I had booked to stay across from Ayala Mall. And in that area right there, it's not a really fancy area. It's not a good area to go out and have community. You don't really experience the barangay life there. You just need to kind of go outside of that area. And I was kind of shy, and I didn't trust the taxi drivers because I didn't want to get ripped off. I didn't I just, and anytime I take a ride, I had my hands stuffed in my pockets, and I'm worried about people pulling my wallet. And when it comes down to the reality, is were there some elements there that could have caused problems? Sure, but it wasn't nearly to the level that I had pushed myself to fear it could have been. So I'll give you an example. I would say the real fear was probably 15%, and I was fearing up to 85%. And that 85% jaded my experience. Now, when I took this bike ride to Mindanao, if I had told the locals, and some of the locals that I was going there, they might say, "Oh, Mindanao's scary. Be careful in Mindanao." They're always going to tell you something if they're not sure, or if they're afraid of it, or if their friends are afraid of it. But the reality was, I met as sweet of people, if not even maybe even sweeter in some places in Mindanao than I met in other places. And it balanced that fear out again, because I had like, okay, am I going to have to be concerned going out into these backwood areas? Is it going to be scary? Am I going to run into places I shouldn't be? And it was always in the back of my mind, always in the back of my mind. And I'm running down these roads, and there were no people on a lot of these roads that were just way out there. And it looked like they had been recently repaired from a lot of landslides from the hurricane. And there must have been 50 washouts at one point, and they had just been repaired. And so this road was hardly used. And I'm thinking, man, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. If I break down, if somebody doesn't like me, or if there's a group of people that might have it out for me, I got to go all the way one way or all the way back the other way, because there's like no crossroads to go out off of some of these roads. So, I thought about that, and I dressed in full covering. So I had full pants, I had full face helmet, so I didn't look like I was a foreigner unless I didn't have my one face shield. If I had the face shield up, then you could tell. Otherwise, it was a little harder to tell. And so I kind of went in there with a little bit of caution. And I did carry a black sock that I could put over my face to cover almost everything. If I put my helmet on, then you would have had a really hard time telling I was a foreigner. If I put sunglasses on and my plastic face shield over, it would have been a hard time to tell. And so, I took some caution going through there, and I thought about those things, but my fears really overblew the reality of what I experienced, and I went to a lot of different towns. I hadn't really heard anything about Butuan because there are hardly any foreigners go there. But when I got there, the people were super, super kind. And I'm thinking, I should have been here before because this is a pretty cool place. And the mall was really impressive. And everybody was really nice. And I was thinking, man, why didn't I come here before? And when I went to Cagayan de Oro with some friends, with Elvie and a friend of hers a long time ago, I only went to a small part of that area. And I didn't really get to experience Cagayan de Oro. I didn't get to experience outside of Cagayan de Oro down by Bukidnon because I didn't know the area. And that area blew my mind. To go out by the Del Monte plantation and see how beautiful that backcountry is, it's unbelievable. It's well worth making the time to go out there if you haven't. Spend the time to go up to Bukidnon. Just a mind blower. And it was experiencing those experiences that balanced out the fears, that made the fear become a lot less and the positives become even higher. And that's why I'm sharing that with you guys, because my fears were so overblown by the things that I read. The negative is pushed more than the positive. So something to think about. All right, you guys, I'm going to answer the last few of your comments and then we are going to hit it. We'll be ending this stream. So I really enjoyed you guys coming. So thank you so much. So, all right. I want to read some of your comments here, you guys. Uh, so Ray says, Elvie, give him a faster chance. Nice. And Elvie says, that Chuck, that was funny. Right. All right. Give him 365 days. Yeah. And she'll make me pay for every one of those days. All right. So she's got a good sense of humor, you guys. And Annie, try to drink baking soda water. Now, I heard of that before because baking soda water is like a base, and that will neutralize maybe the stomach acid. It will kill, oh, I didn't know it. It will kill parasites and it releases acid gas. Baking soda is very cheap. Mix it with water. So that's a good point. So I wonder if I should try the apple cider vinegar, and then if that doesn't work, go to the baking soda water. That's a great idea. Thank you for that. And you're right, it is very cheap. So I'm all for trying some natural remedies, you guys. All right, King, New Jersey. Believe me, guys, I have cerebral palsy. I traveled to Cebu 4 times. All right. Well, anybody can travel. There's a friend that I have, and he's got one arm, and he travels all over the place. He has a great time. There's people that are in wheelchairs that travel all around. So, if your desire is to travel, don't let any limitations stop you because the rewards are so great. The connections that you can make are so worth it, you guys. Traveling has probably enriched my life more than anything that I've ever done because you get to make the connections that make life worth living. And I don't care what limitations you have. Get out and travel, you guys. You know, make it the best you can, even if you have to be near a hospital every once in a while. Get out and travel because this life there's such a lack of community in most of the first world countries that most people are dying inside, you guys. They're dying for those connections, and we're so driven by materialism to replace the loss of those connections, and it's really too bad. And if I have any takeaway from this channel, it is the traveling has enriched me more than anything that I've gained material wise in this life, you guys. That is the truth. 100% truth. All right, Glenn, good to see you, Glenn. Hey, Vern from Canada. Welcome, Canada. I've seen a lot of Canadians this year, so welcome. And King, New Jersey, also, I've been to Bohol and Davao City. Welcome. And I'm glad you did that. That's that's good because you get to see a little different scenario. So when you're Bohol, it's really laid back, it's really chill, and the people are super kind of Bohol. I really love Bohol. And then Davao City is. I haven't been to Davao City. I've been outside Davao, but I haven't been to Davao City, so I can't vouch for Davao. But the people that I've talked to tell me that Davao is very modern. Now I want to go to the actual city and vlog it fully, and so I've been kind of holding off to go there. And the biggest reason is there really isn't a good way to get there other than flying. And the flights from Dumaguete to Davao were very limited. They didn't happen very often. Oftentimes you had to fly to Cebu and then to Davao, or you had to fly to Manila and to Davao. And it's not really that cheap, if I remember right. So it's just been inconvenient, and I had to have a good reason to go there. But eventually I'll do that. So I have no fear. Perfect love casts out all fear. So that's good. All right. So Roy Jones, and then we're going to end it. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining today's live stream. So Roy Jones says, I've been in New Jersey. There you go. And welcome. And thank you for today's travel chat and all your comments, you guys. My heart goes out to all of you having a good experience today and less fear. So thank you and later.